Hi, Steve here with my weekly diet update.
My body fat percentage is still 23. My fat mass is 57. So I didn't put on much weight from last week. I was afraid I'd put on a lot more because of all of the barbecues and dinners I had. Yeah, I weigh a few pounds more, but I did just drink a bunch of water before I weighed myself, so...
Yeah, but I stuck to the gym all week and I did my squats at the beginning of the week. And my legs weren't as tired this week and it felt like I had more energy during my workouts throughout the week. So I think I'm going to keep doing the squats. I'm just going to work on the technique and not put too much weight on it and just try to get down as low as I can. And then when I feel like my technique is good, I'll start adding more weight. Then I'll just stick to my other workouts throughout the week and then stick to my diet. Hopefully no barbecues come around or company dinners. Alright, so this week I'm going to be sharing my Nintendo DS collection. And I'll throw the 3DS in there as well. Have the original DS here. A blue one. And I had a silver one too, but I think I gave it away. I still have the case though. And then I have my 3DS. And I love this thing. I have a bunch of old Nintendo games on here. And a bunch of old Game Boy games on here. This is probably my favorite handheld system right now. Here's the case for it. And my wife has one too. We bought these back when they first came out. When we had a lot of money to spare. We each got one. And I think they were $250 a piece. I can't imagine spending that much money now on anything, but we bought them, and then later on, within a couple of months, the price dropped to $150. So to make it up to all the people that spend all that money on the 3DS when it was $250, Nintendo gave those people a bunch of free games from the eShop, and so we got maybe 10 Game Boy Advance games on here, and then a bunch of classic Nintendo games, including Super Mario Brothers, so I was kind of happy to get those. Okay, on to the games. Here is Zookeeper. I don't think you keep up any zoos on this game. I think it's a puzzle game. My wife is really into these puzzle games, and this is one of the games she enjoys. Zoo Tycoon. This is like a zoo builder game. My wife likes these creative building games. You can build a zoo in here and manage it. Burnout Legends for DS. This is a fun little racing game. I bought this for my wife because she was really into the Burnout games. It doesn't look quite as good as the console version, but it was the best we had at the time for a handheld. And then we have Brain Age and Brain Age 2. And those are little puzzle games or little games to sharpen your mind. And here's Animal Crossing Wild World. This is my wife's game. She loves all these Animal Crossing games. She spent a lot of time on these. She likes these type of games. They're not really my thing, but I like to watch her play these. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory for DS. This is a really dumbed down version from the console version, but I enjoyed it. I beat this game. It was really a chore, but I got through it and I enjoyed it. At the time, this was pretty impressive. There weren't many third-person shooters in 3D on handheld systems, and this one pulled it off decently. This is the type of game I wanted back then for handhelds, because I was kind of done with like 2D side-scrolling games at this point. If I wanted to play those games, I could always play Game Boy or Nintendo, but I kind of wanted something more along the lines of what you'd play on a console on my handheld, because this 3DS was sort of powerful compared to the Game Boy and stuff, so I wanted to see more games like this that I could play on break time at work or play when I'm waiting around somewhere. So, and here's Super Mario 64 DS. This is just another version of the Nintendo 64 game, but I think it lets you play as Luigi and Wario and Yoshi. So you could choose from 4 different characters, including Mario. And it's just kind of looked like they cleaned up the graphics a little bit and added some stuff on here. I couldn't quite get through this because when you get to the flying levels, it was really hard to control it on the D-pad or on the touch screen. I couldn't really handle that, so I never beat this. Here's Tetris DS. This is pretty much straightforward Tetris. I think you can do 2-player. They add all these new options on these new Tetris. I more prefer the original Tetris or the older Tetris on Game Boy or Nintendo, but this is fun. Here's Scribblenauts, a little platform where you can get creative. I think you can draw your characters and or draw items that you need to progress through the game. I never really spent much time on it. My wife liked it a lot. Here's Touchmaster, a bunch of little games in here. It's just a collection of games you might find like on a PC where you can use the stylus to play these games like card games, just little puzzle games, that sort of thing. Okay, Sims 2 for DS. I was never into the Sims. Actually, I couldn't stand them. But this game I really liked. It's not like the PC version or the console version. This is more like a little hotel manager game. It's kind of a little adventure game where you play a hotel manager out in the middle of the desert. And you're trying to bring guests into your hotel. And then the more money you make, the more rooms you could add on to your hotel. And more items you could buy for your suite in the hotel. But I find this game really fun. You're in this little community out in the desert, and there are people wandering around, and you can go talk to them or get them rooms at your hotel. And then you have to keep them happy. A lot of times they're angry. They have a little angry bubble over their head, so you have to go talk to them. And they're talking their little gibberish language. But you can talk to them and make them happy, and then maybe they'll rent a room from you. And then you can go on little missions, like a lot of times the guests lose something, so you have to go out in the desert and find it, or the guests are being attacked by aliens, so you have to go fight the aliens. You can go to the bar and talk to people. You can even, once you build up enough money, you can buy an art gallery. And when you're in there, you can draw your own pictures, your own art, and then you can auction them off to make money. And then you have to keep your hotel clean. You have to go around and clean up the dust bunnies and the... I don't know, I never could stand these games, but I really enjoyed this game. Oh, and you had a little music studio you could buy, and you could make little simple musical tracks there. I just felt this game was pretty fun and immersive, and no one really talks about it. It even has a story mode, I think, and you can actually beat this game. Here's Kingdom Hearts 358 by 2 days. I'm not really into these Kingdom Heart games, but this was $2 sealed at the Goodwill. They must have thought it was a CD or something. I don't know how it was so cheap, but I know a lot of people like this game, so I might trade this to someone or sell it. GoldenEye Rogue Agent for DS. I had this on the Xbox and I liked it, so I bought it on DS. And it's a first-person shooter on DS. I liked that type of thing back then, those 3D type action games, kind of similar to what you find on a console, because there had never really been anything like that on handheld systems before this point. And I like James Bond movies, so this was a must-have for me back then. I played through this and beat it. I think the final boss in here was Oddjob from Goldfinger. And here's GoldenEye 007. This is that remake of GoldenEye that came out a few years ago. I haven't played through this one yet, but it looks really fun. Here's Resident Evil Deadly Silence. And this is my favorite version of the original Resident Evil. I even like it better than the remake. It's the exact version pretty much as the PlayStation version, but they kind of cleaned up the character model. They don't look as blocky. All the same environments, same enemies, just pretty much the exact same game, but they added a few things. They added the quick turnaround, which wasn't in the original game. They added the left shoulder button equips the knife, and the knife doesn't take out any part of your inventory. So they kind of made it more like Resident Evil 4. And then there's a bonus game where you can play through a kind of a new altered version of the game where you can use the stylus to attack the zombies or shoot them or slash at them with a knife. I don't really care for stuff like that. It was kind of fun to play through it in a different way, but I prefer the original version, and the original version is on here. Another thing is you can skip the load screens when you go through the doors, so you can just skip that, so you can beat the game a lot quicker on this than the PS1 version. Mario Kart DS. This was my wife's game. She likes Mario Kart. The only one I ever really got into was Mario Kart 64, but they're all really fun. I think this one had a lot of tracks from Mario 64 or previous Mario Kart games. New Super Mario Brothers. This is kind of like an updated version of the really old Super Mario Brothers. It's a different game, but the 2D play style, I don't know why I never got into these games because I love the original 4 Super Mario Brothers. And then I have 007 Bloodstone, and I don't have the case for that. I couldn't find the case, or I couldn't find this game anywhere. My wife finally found it somewhere and bought it for my birthday a couple years ago, and I still haven't beaten this game yet. I beat the console version, but this one is terrible compared to the console version, but it really feels like a console game, a home console game. It's a really long action third-person shooter, and I like stuff like that. And you play as Daniel Craig, a really blocky-looking Daniel Craig, but I mean, for 3DS, it runs really good and it looks decent. On to the 3DS games. Lego Batman 2, this is my wife's. She loves these games. So we usually get these when they come out. She plays through them all and beats them. Here's the newer Animal Crossing. I think this is her favorite Animal Crossing ever. This is the one she spent the most time on. I never got into these, but I can see what the appeal is. Okay, Super Street Fighter 4 for DS. I love this game. I spent so much time with this game. It's a really solid version of Street Fighter 4. I love Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox 360, and this is the type of thing I wanted for a handheld. This is like taking Street Fighter 4 from the console anywhere you want. The graphics are slightly worse than the Xbox version, but not really much. All the characters that are there, all the moves, it plays really good. You can play online. This is probably the most online play I've ever done. It's so easy to find opponents on this, and you can keep playing them over and over and over. You don't have to sit and wait to find new opponents. You can just keep replaying the same opponent. And I got pretty good at this. I think my win record's about 50%, and that's really good for me. And then I would take this to work, and a couple of my friends would play it with me. One of my good friends has a DS with this game, and we would play it all the time at break against each other. One of my friends got so into it, he broke my circle pad a couple times, but Nintendo did replace it. I sent it in and they replaced it for free. And I think it happened twice. My circle pad broke twice, and both times they repaired it for free, Nintendo. So good for them. Yeah, but this is the type of thing I like on handheld systems. Something that's like the original home console version that I could take anywhere. And this is one I really enjoyed. And here's Splinter Cell 3D. And this is just I think this is just Splinter Cell 3 Chaos Theory. I haven't really played much of it. I played it on the original DS and the Xbox. And my wife got me this because she knew I liked it, but I haven't really spent much time on it. But it looks amazing. From what I know, I think it is just the Splinter Cell Chaos Theory game. Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D. This is pretty much just the mercenary mode from Resident Evil 4 and 5. It's just the all-out battle modes where you just battle the zombies. There's no story. And I think you can do multiplayer. It has a lot of maps from Resident Evil 4 and 5, which I like. But it's just pretty much mercenary mode. I was hoping for just a straight Resident Evil 4 on 3DS or Resident Evil 5. This thing could obviously handle Resident Evil 5. A lot of the maps from Resident Evil 5 are in here. So I was kind of hoping we would just get Resident Evil 5 on 3DS, but I guess this is decent. I didn't spend much time with it. Like I said, I was hoping more for just Resident Evil 4 or 5 on DS, but for what it is fun. And the weird thing about this game, I don't know if there's any other game like this, but any progress you make, any save progress, or anything you unlock on this game automatically burns into the copy and you can never get rid of it. So if you want to clear all of your data or your progress, you can't. It always stays there. So once you unlock stuff, it never goes away. And I don't know of any other game that's ever been like that. It seems kind of weird. So if you bought this game used, chances are you have everything unlocked already. Resident Evil Revelations. This is probably one of my favorite 3DS games. This is the type of thing I like again. Like, I like these console game experiences, these big high budget console experiences on the 3DS. This game looks amazing. It's like anything you would play on Xbox 360 or PS3. I think later on it did get moved over to the PS3 and Xbox 360 with improved graphics. But I'm happy with this one. I could take this game anywhere. It has a really long story mode that's up there with any Resident Evil game. This has production value. You can do two-player. You can do a two-player mode where you could play through the entire map of the game with a partner online, and I think that was really fun. You can spend a lot of hours with this game. You can upgrade your multiplayer character. You can upgrade the weapons. Yeah, just a really fun story and a lot of fun characters. There are a lot of new characters in this game. It has Jill and Chris from the Resident Evil series, but then there are some new characters and they're all pretty interesting. You gotta give it to Resident Evil for having interesting, silly characters. Yeah, but this game is set on a luxury ocean liner, and it's just a really fun game to play through. I really enjoyed this. New Super Mario Brothers 2. This is a really cool looking game. My wife beat it. She's good at these. It's hard for me to get hyped about these because I just always want to play Super Mario 1, 2, and 3 in World. And I don't have room in my heart for something new, but I should really try these. And then we have The Legend of Zelda, The Ocarina of Time 3D. The 3DS version of one of the best games ever made. One of my favorite games, The Ocarina of Time for Nintendo 64. And this game really improves the graphics, adds a couple little things. It's pretty much exactly the same game, so if you know your way through the original Nintendo 64 game, you'll know your way through this. They added some little gyroscopic camera controls with this, so when you're aiming your bow and arrow, you can move the actual 3DS around to look around and aim. So that type of stuff's pretty neat. It's not really my thing, but I thought it was pretty neat. Then this is a game that is so long, I never beat it. I beat it once on the N64, but since then, it's just a time-consuming game. I don't really have that much time anymore. I get maybe halfway through it, and I stop. This game is just so time-consuming. It's good the whole way through. You'll never get bored. It's just really time-consuming. Okay, that's about it for this week. I'll see you next week with my diet update. Have a wonderful week. Bye.